This is Reality Check. Tonight, the heat intensifies on the RBI and the Prime Minister's office for covering up the names of big bank loan defaulters. The context is this. In 2016, the Supreme Court ordered the RBI to submit details of companies that have each defaulted on loans amounting to more than 500 crore rupees. Then, in September 2018, the RBI's former governor, Raghuram Rajan, wrote a note on India's stressed debt to a parliamentary committee, saying that he had sent a letter to the Prime Minister's office in February 2015 with a list of high-profile fraud cases of non-performing assets, asking for a coordinated investigation between the RBI and the PMO. But despite the court orders, the Rajan revelation and multiple RTIs, the list has never been made public, neither by the PMO nor the RBI. But now the Central Information Commission, in a hard-hitting 47-page order, has issued notices to the RBI and the PMO asking why they shouldn't face action for not making the defaulters list public. I spoke earlier to MS Acharyulu, the commissioner who wrote that order, and began by asking him why he rejected the RBI's arguments about not disclosing the information.
See, earlier the similar question was before the RBI through RTI. Then they refused on the same grounds. It came to Central Information Commission, and Central Information Commission has emphatically said that you have to disclose this information. And they challenged the Central Information Commission's order before higher courts, and all the challenges were collected together, transferred together, and placed before Supreme Court.
Right.
And a bench of Supreme Court has given a landmark decision in Jayanti Lal N. Mistry case, wherein all the 12 writ petitions filed by RBI were rejected, and the decisions of the CIC, the then Shailesh Gandhi, Information Commissioner Shailesh Gandhi's orders were upheld in toto without even a single dissent or single criticism. So they are supposed to implement the order of CIC by disclosing the information sought by the appellants.
Right.
They were supposed to. But in the website, they have announced that these are the classes of information which will not fall under the category of disclosure possible policy. So that is the problem. Then how do I find the CPIO responsible for it? A similar question came before me through an RTI and second appeal, and then I asked RBI to answer. RBI CPIO has submitted a long list of objections. Then when I verified those objections, those are the same objections which are raised before the Supreme Court and earlier CIC. Then when all the objections were rejected by the Supreme Court, how is that you raise the same objections again? Unless you have a fresh cause of action to not to disclose the willful defaulters list and action taken. And what is the kind of defenses that you are coming up with? You say it's a commercially confidential information or fiduciary information. My question is, when a person has made an application for loan, it is personal information, don't give. When a person has submitted securities and gave some certain personal details, don't disclose them. We are not asking for that. But somebody is asking when somebody has defaulted, willfully defaulted, and you are filing cases, thousands of cases,
so you're saying,
and the defaulters are leaving the country. And there are discussions in the country how to retain those defaulters for a trial before the judiciary in India.
So you're saying that the argument,
how is that you are not disclosing the information? It is not just a defiance.
Right. You're saying that the RBI's logic, the RBI's
what
logic.
I'm trying to tell is,
So you're saying that the RBI's logic that this will hurt economic interest and that this is disclosing confidential bank information. You're not buying that argument. But you know, you've gone ahead and said that the RBI governor is responsible for
not
this.
Only
because you're saying
Supreme Court also defined.
Yes, I know, but let me ask the question. You're saying that it's not just the Chief Information Commissioner of the RBI or the information officer of the RBI who's responsible. You're saying it's the governor himself.
Public Information Officer.
Yes, you're saying it's the governor himself.
Because it's a policy now.
Responsible.
They have announced it as a policy. See, it is very clear. Now, please let me clarify this question. See, the notice for response was given, and in response they have given certain defenses.
Yes.
And those defenses were already rejected. Now there must be something seriously wrong. That legal department must have not given that these defenses and exceptions were rejected by the Supreme Court. They should have told the CPIO. That is not there. Then when I searched for the website disclosures under section 4(1)(b), they said these are the informations which I don't give, and that included the information which these fellows were asking for.
Okay.
That means what? CIC order they don't want to implement, and the Supreme Court order also they don't want to implement.
You've also
that becomes it's a major policy decision of the RBI, not the answer of the CPIO.
Okay.
That is the reason why I asked the RBI governor to explain.
Okay,
what
but you've
should I
also
do?
said, because this list, you cite Mr. Raghuram Rajan's list, because Mr. Raghuram Rajan, when he was RBI governor, said that he sent a list of these high profile defaulters to the Prime Minister's office. So you also put the Prime Minister's office on notice, saying that they also need to disclose the list.
Yeah, what I asked, because the matter is almost the same. Whereas the Raghuram Rajan's letter must be talking about high profile willful defaulters, but the original question is, who are the defaulters? Who are the willful defaulters?
Yes.
So that what action you have taken on that? That is the question. It's almost similar. So I thought it is better we ask the concerned authorities like top authorities like Finance Minister, RBI, and also the PMO, because the matter was circulated among these three offices.
Now, what is the penalty? You say that if you do not upload this information, people will face the maximum penalty. What is that?
Well, I can't say anything about it unless I hear the explanation.
No, but under the law,
I give them opportunity to present their part
sure.
of.
No. I'm just asking, under the law, what is the maximum penalty?
Under the law, it is known to you. Why should I say?
Okay.
No, I will not be saying anything on that. Don't ask me what will happen tomorrow. What I did, I am trying to explain it.
Okay, I understand. Now, I want to ask you that.
Thank you very much.
No, just a second. Can I just ask you a last question before I let you go? I just want to understand from you why you think this is such an important issue, because and you tried to set that out in your order, where you say that thousands of crores of rupees of bank loans have been written off. We know of a large number of high profile corporate defaulters who fled the country, and you contrast that with people in this country like farmers, for example, who are deeply distressed because of debt and are also taking their lives. So you say that this is something which is very much in the public interest.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Very, very important. It is question of life and death for an ordinary man. Whereas the high profile defaulters leave the country, and we have nothing to do, not even disclosure of the names of the defaulters. Right. Whereas the ordinary farmer's name, photograph and life is exposed, and he will die in his field, and we are facing such an economic crisis not because of giving loans, but because of defaulting to pay back the loans. So the economy is affected adversely, not because of advancing of loans, but because of non-paying of the loans.
Why do you think that the RBI...
I find public interest in it,
right,
as you rightly pointed out.
Right. Why do you think then that high-ranking, high-level government institutions like the RBI and the PMO, despite the fact that, as you said, the Supreme Court has opened the door for them to make these details public, why do you think the details are not being made public?
I am surprised, in fact. I thought at least after the Supreme Court has given that wonderful order, they would give the information. But how can I say that? Why they are not giving? How can I say?
Because you actually say, you raise the question in paragraph 50 of your order, why is the RBI fighting tooth and nail to defend defaulters?
I am talking about the policy.
Failure to repay the dues by the borrower does not always reflect as a willful intent as to non-payment.
That's my question. Yes. Yeah. That's my question. Answer I don't know, they have to answer.
So, just to understand now, just to tell our viewers, you set a deadline for 5 days, is that right?
16th, I gave 16th November as the date.
So, you said the RBI shall disclose the bad debt details of defaulters worth more than 1,000 crores at the beginning of rupees 500 crores or less at a later stage within 5 days. and collect such information from the banks in due course to update their voluntary disclosure.
Yeah. Now, within 5 days means, my point was,
yes,
if they can't disclose every information right immediately, they can classify, and whatever they have now, they can do it, and they can take some more time to give the detailed information. That was my idea behind that.
All right. So, that was MS Acharyulu, the Information Commissioner, firing all cylinders. Joining us tonight on the show, we have with us Meera Sanyal, who is the former country executive and chairperson, Royal Bank of Scotland, joining us from Mumbai. Prashant Bhushan, senior advocate, Supreme Court, is joining us via Skype. Prashant is someone who's actually gone to the court in this particular case asking for disclosure of defaulters. Deshratan Nigam, lawyer, political activist, someone who's close or a supporter of the RSS, is here with us in the Delhi studio. Let me just begin by asking you, Meera Sanyal, that just at the very outset, while it may be one thing for the Central Information Commission to pass this order, 45 pages, very strongly worded, at times it almost seems not like a conventional Information Commission order with the sort of language that's been used. Is this realistic of the Information Commission to expect high-ranking government institutions like the RBI and like the the Prime Minister's office to actually meet their deadline?
I think there are two things interesting about this order, Srinivasan. The first is that for the first time, someone is saying who is accountable. Where does the buck stop? And I think the CIC has absolutely correctly identified that the buck stops with the Governor of the Reserve Bank, it stops with the Prime Minister's office, and it stops with the Finance Ministry. And if these people who are running our economy and running our country are not willing to be accountable, then they should demit their jobs. So I think the CIC order has done a very good thing by fixing accountability. The second thing which I think is really significant in this order is that they are asking for disclosure of information which belongs in the public domain. As Mr. Acharyulu has correctly pointed out, once a defaulter has defaulted, what is at risk? It is depositors' money is at risk, and it is taxpayers' money at risk. And therefore, we have a right to know.
Okay.
Bear in mind that if you default on a credit card, or if a farmer defaults, or if a small industry defaults, that information is made public.
Right.
So why should big crony industrialists not have their data made public when they have defaulted?
Okay, let me take that to Deshratan Nigam. I mean, isn't this embarrassing for the government that you have to now have the Information Commission coming out and saying something that's been said all along, that this list is there with the PMO. Raghuram Rajan gave it in 2015. The Supreme Court has said there's no problem going public with these names. Why do you think the government is not doing it?
See, let us be very clear. I think Prashant would be able to tell us better, because the information was given in sealed cover to the Supreme Court. And what happened afterwards, I have no idea, because they had taken some issue about confidentiality. So the court said, give it to me in a sealed cover.
That's the court, though. But there's also
Supreme
a list
Court,
sitting
Supreme
in front
Court,
of the Prime Minister's
Supreme
office.
Court. No, once a matter is sub judice in a Supreme Court says give it to in a sealed cover. Then everything stops there. And I think nobody wants then to take a decision because matter is sub judice before.
Do you think that's that the government is hiding behind that,
and
behind sub judice?
No.
Look at the political optics of this.
Let me establish my optics might be there, but the fact remains, in 2016 they wanted I think 5-6 years back data. Supreme Court, it was 2016, and Prashant can correct me, and I think it was his case, and in principle I want this to be given. As a matter of fact,
you think it's a mistake for the government to not go public with this information? You think that they should disclose and not sit on it, because as Meera pointed out, that if the ordinary borrower, when he or she defaults, that can be made public. What is the problem with holding back on these names? That's why you get into allegations of cronyism and so on and so forth.
Most of the data, if you look at it, would be when these loans were given. They were given, 10 years back, 15 years back. Sure. So ultimately, it would be more of a reflection of the past government than in this government. That is why. Just a minute, hold on.
All the more reason then.
That is why I say, in principle, I agree that this should come in public domain.
Okay, you agree. Prashant,
but just 1 second.
Yeah, Prashant, let me come back to you.
No, 1 second. I don't agree with the kind of order that has been written. It's more like a political commentary. It should have been crisp, very crisp and short. I have not seen, you know, orders, public interest he's talking about.
Okay.
His domain is very limited. I would, directions is fine, but
okay, fine. You have an issue with the order. We can come back to that in a second. I just want to get Prashant in very quickly on the technical point that Nigam made, Prashant, that the data that the Supreme Court had sought, is it true that the RBI did submit that information in a sealed cover? And does that become a reason or an excuse for the government to say we won't disclose?
Well, there are two cases. Deshratan Nigam is confusing the two cases. The first was that case of Jayanti Lal Mistry, and there were 9 other connected cases.
Yes.
10 cases seeking information from RBI regarding bank defaulters, regarding the currency, foreign currency derivative scam, regarding the banks which had been penalized by the Reserve Bank for flouting norms, etc.
Yes.
All those issues came up before the Supreme Court, and in 2016 the Supreme Court gave an emphatic judgment saying that all the grounds claimed by the RBI for secrecy over this information are all bogus, humbug, and that all this information, each one of this information has to be disclosed. This is greatly in public interest.
Right.
The people who are the masters of this country are certainly entitled to know.
Did the RBI disclose
money? No, they didn't disclose. They didn't disclose. They were in clear contempt of that order. Then there was another separate case that we had filed in 2005. That was regarding this bad loans, etc., and the manner in which financial institutions loan out money.
Okay.
In that case, the larger issue of NPAs, etc., got taken up by the Supreme Court, and there the Supreme Court passed a separate order, saying that, right, you give us information about those who have defaulted more than 500 crores. But that is no excuse whatsoever for the Reserve Bank or anybody to say that, well, we won't disclose because now this matter is sub judice. That is totally absurd. And all this information is being hidden because the governments, the previous government and the present government are hand in glove with these corporate looters who have looted lakhs of crores of public money, and the government does not want, and more loans are being given to them, like these Adanis and Ambanis, etc. There is evergreening of loans going on. This is just absolute loot, and this is absolutely thumbing the nose at the Supreme Court, gross contempt of court that they are.
Okay, let me just get Meera Sanyal in. You know, the thing, Meera Sanyal, which is confusing about this, and let's try to put up some of those numbers on the screen or some of those visuals, because we actually went to the websites of some of these banks to look at whether they have actually listed their willful defaulters, which is something that they're supposed to do under RBI guidelines. And for example, the Punjab National Bank, as of September 30th of this year, has listed some of the willful defaulters, and there are no big surprises. At least 4 or 3 of the top 5 defaulters belong to the Mehul Choksi, Gitanjali and Nirav Modi family of companies. So we have Gitanjali Gems, which is about 4,600 crores, Gili another 1,000 odd crores, something called Kudos Chemi, 1,300 crores. Then we get into Nakshatra, which is about 1,000 crores, Winsome Diamonds, another usual suspect there with 900 crores. We looked at the Vijaya Bank website that also had well-known suspects like Zoom Developers, Pearl Studio and so on, all of whom owe somewhere in the range of 200 to 300 crores. My question really, Meera Sanyal, is that given that the fact that if these names were to be made public, they would not contain any big surprises, why do you think that the government particularly, because the RBI can sort of fall on technicality, but the government has to worry about political optics, why would it still be unwilling to disclose these names?
Well, you know, I think perhaps Nigamji is the best person to explain it, because it is a mystery. As he correctly points out, many of these are not new defaults, they are not new loans. And as Prashantji has pointed out, this hanky-panky has been going on for a very long time. It's a well-known thing, and we should call a spade, that banks, especially public sector banks, have been under political pressure for many years to make unviable loans to big crony industrialists. We have seen that happening repeatedly. And Governor Rajan said this very openly. He said, the problem in India is that we don't have any sick industrialists, but we have lots of sick industries. Now the point is, we are talking about the CIC. This list has been asked for by Murli Manohar Joshi, who is a senior member of the BJP sitting in a parliamentary commission. So not only are the RBI and the PMO and the Ministry of Finance thumbing their nose at the Supreme Court and the CIC, they're also thumbing it at the Parliament of India. The question is why? What are they trying to hide? I mean, what are these names which are so secretive and what will come out? I mean, are these very big funders of political parties? Is that the root of it? Because now everyone is just simply speculating. So it's quite mysterious actually what's happening. I mean, it's, in my view, completely inexplicable.
As a matter of principle,
as I said, you said that, but as I just pointed out, and we can put those pictures up on the screen again, that when this list, this mystery list comes out, it will, in my reading, be an anticlimax. It will, as I said, be these names that have already been in the public domain for a long time, right? Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, Winsome Diamonds, Zoom developers, etc., etc. Everybody knows. Then what's the problem? And as Meera Sanyal pointed out, they're not even disclosing to Parliament.
See, that's for the government to answer, because I can at best speculate, and in principle I have said so that I want this to come in public domain.
I appreciate that, but what about Prashant's point that not disclosing will then lead to the sort of allegations he made, that this shows that this government is hand in glove with these corrupt fraudsters?
These may raise some suspicions, as Prashant says, and if you don't...
You accept that?
No, obviously, because when names are not coming and you have orders and you have Supreme Court also directing, and certain suspicions would be there. But the fact remains that, what is the policy on this of the Government of India? I think Finance Ministry should come out and make it very
Prashant, let me ask you this, that do you really think that the government, the PMO, the RBI are going to disclose on the basis of a Chief Information Commissioner order? Because, with all respect to the Information Commission, the maximum penalty that is being threatened here, what is that? It is 250 rupees a day of fine for not disclosing information of a maximum of 25,000 rupees, or some sort of departmental action against the concerned information officer who refuses to provide information.
Yes, given the past record of this government, they are not going to comply with this CIC's order either. But let me just clarify one thing.
Yes.
You said that the list of willful defaulters had been put out. There is a big distinction between defaulters and willful defaulters. Those who are declared as willful defaulters and those who are mere defaulters. Many of those who are defaulters and who should be willful defaulters have not been classified as willful defaulters. Willful defaulters cannot get any further loans. A lot of these crony capitalists are actually willful defaulters because they have siphoned out money. Adani, for example, has siphoned out tens of thousands of crores by way of over-invoicing for power equipment and coal.
Prashant, in all fairness, we shouldn't, allegations made against entities who are not on the show, who don't have an opportunity to defend themselves.
That's part of the court record. I am saying that a large number of these people have not yet been declared as willful defaulters. In fact, they have not even been declared as defaulters. The Supreme Court asked the RBI to give the names of even those whose loans have been restructured, because instead of declaring them as defaulters, they go on evergreening these loans by restructuring the loans. Even that information needs to be put out before the public. But they are not putting it out because they are the very cronies of the government who are looting and running away, like Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, Vijay Mallya, etc. Someday even the Ambanis and the Adanis may run away, but and that is why they are being protected by this government.
Just absolutely, I'm told time is up. 10 seconds. You want to respond to that?
See, Prashant does have a point, but he's got slightly carried away by the tenor and the language of the CIC's order. But end of the day, I think it should come in public domain.
You think it should come in public domain, at least that's something that everybody on the show agrees with, which is fairly rare, as we know, on Indian television. Thank you so much for joining us. That's it on Reality Check. Thanks for watching. Good night.